take you to another story right now. And I'll tell you, this is quite fascinating because it builds in technology, it builds in defence, but it also builds in a bit of the gee whizzery that's quite amazing. Now, if you go, say, for example, to places such as Syria, parts of Iraq right now, what you'll find is that technology has played a very big and important part in the way in which ISIS has not only put out its propaganda, but also in the way in which it's fought the war. Now, as you would be well aware, some of the very crude bombs that have been done, the IEDs, really have been pretty basic, but very, very effective. But when it comes to other aspects of it, there have been other things that they have done, like they've found that very low-cost drones that you can basically buy over the internet are quite effective at being able to try and, create either visual aspects of a battlefield or what's taking place, or indeed even as potentially weapons as well. So what's happened is a company that is listed on the ASX, but also which is based in the US state of Virginia, has told the ASX yesterday that one of its drone gun test units has been purchased by the military of a G7 country, so one of the big countries of the world, and is understood to be deployed for testing in the Middle East. Now, I saw this and I went, gee, that's an interesting story. I wonder what that's all about. Well, Oleg Vornik is the chief executive and managing director of that company, DroneShield, and he's on the line right now. Many thanks for your time, Oleg.
Good evening, Ross. Good to talk to you.
I know you're just back in the country from the United States. Can you broadly, first up, explain exactly what your technology, what this device does?
Very good. Ross, a drone gun is a directional jammer that effectively looks like a rifle. However, it doesn't fire bullets. What it does is it jams the connection between a consumer drone like a DJI Phantom, which is, like you said, something you can buy at JB Hi-Fi for about $1,000. And that effectively makes the drone either come back to where it came from or safely land on the spot. So it's a way of combating drones such as that ISIS is using on battlefields that it loads with things like grenades.
So what they're doing is that they're buying these things, presumably online, I would have thought, Oleg, and loading them up with grenades, and as a result dropping them either on forces that are coming towards them or whatever that might be. I noticed that Major General Rupert Jones did indicate that this was a sign of genuine desperation from IS fighters that they are doing this, but also even the Australian IS fighter Neil Prakash has been reported as having led a cell plotting armed drone attacks. I mean, it really is quite an astonishing thing. In regards to your device, however, is it actually launched from the ground or is it launched from a drone itself?
So our device is a gun that effectively emits rays that block the connection between the drone and the controller. So in terms of how you use it, you would have potentially a person in a vehicle or part of the infantry unit perhaps, and you see a drone approaching. So the other line of products that we sell are drone detection technologies. And then you get the gun out, you point it in the direction of the drone, and that creates the impact of the drone, either basically losing the connection with the controller and flying back to where it came from, or landing on the spot.
Can you just explain one thing? Where did this technology come from, Oleg?
It's a good question. So the jamming technology has existed for quite some time. However, this is a new application, effectively, of something that has been around for a while. So drones use consumer band frequencies, mostly what's known as the 2.4 and 5.8 gigahertz, and also they use GPS to know exactly where they are. So this is effectively taking that signal and applying a directional jammer. So it's not a 360 degrees, but it's going in the direction of the drone and cuts that band of connection in terms of how the technology works.
Wow, that's just astonishing. And so why is it that your company, DroneShield, is listed on the ASX? I know that you're also based in the US. Just explain how the corporate structure of your business works.
Thanks, Ross. The company started life approximately 4 years ago in Virginia, and then we came to Australia in 2015 and successfully listed on ASX in the middle of last year. ASX is recognized globally as a very good stock exchange to list for smaller companies. Today, we're approximately Aussie 50 million market cap, and US, which is where a lot of our operations are, is simply not very well designed for smaller companies to get listed in terms of the red tape and the legal fees, etc. ASX is truly a global lead in terms of smaller companies to set up and thrive.
So in other words, there's an opportunity here that companies such as yours have recognised that it may be easier to join the capital markets here in Australia and to be able to develop quite different and quite, groundbreaking technologies as distinct from going to the United States and trying to do it there.
Absolutely. So ASX is a great market for a smaller company like ours to raise funding to do our research and business development. So we've done our listing in the middle of last year. We've applied this funding to grow as a business and in very important part helped us to become as successful as we are today.
See, I'll tell you what, it is quite amazing. And I know that this is only being trialled at this stage, but what you would be hoping, obviously, is that this type of technology can be rolled out so that you've got commercial applications. That's what you're obviously trying to seek with this type of technology. Would there be other applications for it also?
Well, in terms of the drones behaving badly, there are actually quite a lot of applications. So terrorism is clearly one, which is what we already spoke about. Drones delivering contraband into prisons is a huge issue today. So whether it's narcotics, weapons, escape kits, cell phones, or just surveillance for potential escape plans, that's all a big thing. You have drones being used for illegal surveillance generally. So anywhere where drones play a threat to safety, security, or privacy, DroneShield has a role to play. So when we started the company started with the drone detection sensors. So before you can defeat a drone, you need to know it's coming. And then most common question we were getting, well, once you detect a drone, now what? And to respond to that, we launched Drone Gun at the end of last year, and it's already been proven quite successful. So it's a working product. We've made sales already, and that included trial units for a couple of militaries, such as the one this week, the G7 country, and also we've been going through a number of trials with other militaries. So we are hoping that will start translating into good size orders in the near term.
I'll tell you, it's just incredible. So the company is DroneShield, as you're hearing. That thing is called the Drone Gun, and it's just an incredible piece of technology which has been adapted from something that's been around for quite some time and now being used in active service in the Middle East, as quite clearly you've got ISIS and other military organisations start to use basic consumer drones, but for their own terrorism purposes. And as I say, it's an incredible story. Oleg Vornik is the Chief Executive and Managing Director of that company, DroneShield. But the other story he told us about there was about small overseas countries finding the Australian Stock Exchange and seeing opportunities to list here that might not exist overseas. Oleg, we appreciate your time here on Money Knows Tonight.
Thank you, Ross.
Yeah, Oleg Vornik there. How good's that for a story? Tell you what, my colleagues, Sylvia Jeffries and Pete Stefanovic, when they got married just a couple of weeks ago, I reckon they could have used with one of those DroneShield guns as well. I reckon they could have taken a couple of paparazzi drones out of the sky with that thing. You think about, I don't know if you live in the city, if you've seen that local real estate agents these days, they do the same thing. They're sticking the drones up, and what they do is that they put up the pretty pictures of your area around the house that they're trying to sell. Now, Saturday morning, you hear that buzzing of the drone in the sky, Sunday morning. You sit there and go, nah, we're not having this. The DroneShield might be a really good idea. So, tell me what applications you reckon might be appropriate for.